typically, the engine is cold, and it takes a few minutes to warm up. So give it anywhere from 3 to maybe 5 minutes of warm up. I'm looking at my engine side over here. So on this single display here, these are all the flight instruments on this side, and we have a airspeed indicator, altimeter, and compass, and all of those things. This is a graphical representation of the horizon. So we got green below and sky above, and so it tells us if we're banked or climbing and all that. And then this side is our engine display. So our RPM for the engine, fuel. These are the cylinder head temperatures on this side and the exhaust gas temperatures. And so we'll use the exhaust gas temperatures with the mixture knob to tune the engine where it's running well. It's all manual. There's no fuel computer or anything like that. So you have to do that yourself. And the reason it's like that is because, we're going to go from ground level up to, 10 or 15,000 feet. And so as the air gets less and less dense, somebody has to compensate for it. In a car, the fuel computer does all that for you. In a manual system, you got to do it. And then we have our oil temperature and pressure, so oil temp and pressure. So what we're looking for is that the cylinder head temperatures are coming up around 200 degrees, and the oil temperature is up around 100. And that usually takes a few minutes to circulate oil and pick up some heat. Once we see that, we know the engine is fully warmed up, and it's ready to go. It's ready to make full power and all that. Sometimes in the winter, that can take a while. It might take 8 or 9 minutes to get things warmed up. And the oil temperature especially, it just, it may never come up very high. It's just really cold. So, but on a day like today, 3-4 minutes, it'll be about ready. We have our engine throttle here, low throttle, high throttle, mixture knob. This is the fuel shutoff valve, so that's on for flight. And that's about it. It's a pretty simple airplane. Our transponder, our communications radio is here. So right now, this top frequency, 122.
Richville traffic, Skyline 1711, Whiskey is ready to go on 18, Richville.
And so that's that other guy right over there that's getting ready to take off. So he made a radio call to the airport traffic advisory frequency. And he's not talking to a controller. He's just talking to anybody that might be listening.
4 miles south, requesting Richville for downwind for 363 for that.
Well, that's inconvenient. So there's one guy that wants to come in and land facing the north. This guy wants to take off to the south. The guy that wrote, so we got potentially airplanes that would be coming head on if they don't talk to each other and work it out.
Signs below, they don't need to fight fast. Talk to people.
Right. So airports that don't have a lot of traffic, they can't justify the expense of having a control tower. And so it's an uncontrolled, or really it's a pilot-controlled airfield where pilots work it out amongst themselves. There are standard practices that everybody is trained on. And so everybody kind of knows the normal way of doing things. And as long as you follow it and do it in a predictable manner, everybody can work it out. So it's a lot of
downwind, land 18 to go.
So, he changed his mind. So he was going to land this way, but he's going to...
Yeah, Richville traffic, Skyline 11 Whiskey is off the south end of the airport, and we will depart to the south. Richville.
So that's the guy that just took off, the guy who was just talking. The other airplane is coming in. We're going to see him over here someplace, kind of coming this way. But that's the way it works. Yeah. So much in the same way that, rules of the road will help everybody kind of govern, who does what and who has the right of way. It's the same thing for flying, and everybody's trained on those basics.
West base, 18 weeks ago.
Move up where we can watch him land. I don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's just...
Traffic, Cardinal 427, Clearance Final, 18 weeks ago.
our engine is up to temperature, so we have over 200 on all of our cylinders. Oil temp is just about 100. So we'll be ready to go as soon as he lands, and then he's probably going to turn around and come back this way. So as soon as he's clear, we'll be ready to go. What we'll do is we'll do our final check here before we take off. So we use a checklist, make sure we don't miss stuff. So we have a before takeoff checklist, and this section we run through. Look pretty good. So we run through this section just to make sure we didn't miss anything. So our seat belts are adjusted and secured. Everything's nice and tight. Canopy is closed and latched. Elevator trim is right here. It's set to the middle for takeoff. Our switches are set properly. That really just means that our alternator is turned on, so we'll recharge the battery. And radio is set to the right frequency. Our altimeter is set, and we probably need to adjust it just a little bit. Field elevation is 1,000 feet here, and so it changes a little bit depending on air pressure. So last night it was a little bit different, so we have to just adjust it at the beginning of the flight. Fuel quantity is set at 10 gallons, and that's what we stuck the tank at, so that's good. Engine instruments are all in the green, ready to go. Fuel shutoff is on. Flight controls, so we check the flight controls by pulling the stick back and running it through its full range of motion to make sure it's not hung up on anything. You know, if there was a bag in the back that was, it inched on something, we'd feel it binding. And then the last thing we'll do is our run-up. I'm going to set the parking brake. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run the engine up to a medium-high RPM. So 1900 RPM, and we're going to check our two ignition systems to make sure they're both working. So right now we're on both ignition systems, so we're dual redundant. And we switch one, turn one off. And so there's only one running, and the engine is still running. So obviously that ignition system is working. And then we go back to both, and then we go to the other, and back to both. And we would expect the engine to get slightly rougher and a little bit, drop in RPM just a little bit. But we verify that it's actually running. And so that's the important part on the run-up. Okay, so that's the pre-takeoff checklist. That's complete, and we're ready to go. So the last thing we do is we just look around, make sure there's nobody on the runway, nobody's taxied out, there's nobody in the pattern, nobody coming on either side of the airport. So this side is clear and that side is clear. And then we make our radio call saying that we're getting ready to take off. Roosterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, departing 18 Roosterville. Those radio calls are always kind of the same thing. We announce who we're talking to, Roosterville air traffic, who we are. We're Sonex 604 Charlie Mike. And then what we're doing. So we're taking off on runway 18. 18 is this runway facing 180 degrees. And that's how runways are named. All right, we're going to set our flaps for takeoff. Mixture goes full rich, stick comes back, throttle coming up. Airspeed is working. Roosterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, departing the pattern to the south-southeast, Roosterville. So if you look over there, that's downtown Kansas City over there. And that's the downtown area with the skyline and all that. And is that loud enough? Can you hear me okay, or is it too soft? So bring the power back to cruise, so we have a little more comfortable, pace. So again, a very smooth morning. I mean, it's just glassy smooth.
Really nice.
Really smooth. Yeah. It's not always like this. These are just wonderful flying days. So we have our map here, and our map shows us in the middle here, and it shows terrain, and all these little yellow chevrons are towers that are out there. And we have other things denoted, like airports, those little circles are airports. That big red thing is a restricted area over the stadium. We have other airports. And then more importantly, it'll show us towers, big tall towers like that one out there that are at our elevation or higher. That one's a ways out there, but it's those red towers. They're red because they're higher than we are, and they're a potential conflict. So this helps us really maintain awareness on where we are and what's around us.
You can see everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we've got a lot of haze in the air, which is typical for the summertime in the Midwest. But even so, we can see, 20 or 30 miles without too much problem. And that's one of the things I really like about the Pacific Northwest is the air is usually so clean that on a day like today where it's nice and calm, you would just see forever. And you see things that are just 100 miles away, and it's really cool. You don't see that around here very often. So we got a barge pushing up, I don't know, it looks like sand or something in an open container barge right there. Maybe that's a dredge boat. There are several of those dredges that operate around Portland and the whole area, working the Columbia. And is that a church? Yeah, so that's a mosque, There's a Buddhist temple over, I don't know, over here somewhere. And then there's a big old Mormon tabernacle over here too. So there's a few of them in the area that are kind of interesting. Oh no, that's not the mosque. That is the mosque. The mosque is over this way too. Those big towers over there are towers. And so they throw off a lot of static. So right up ahead is the stadium. That's Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs play, and then where the Royals play. There's two stadiums right next to each other. Wow, that's cool. So it looks like there's nothing going on right now, so we'll just fly right over and get a good look at it. Unfortunately, this static is going to kind of come and go. Yeah, it's really annoying. Those things put out so much energy that they just flood all the radio signals with static, and we're just too close to them. So there's nothing we can do except just turn it down and suffer through it. All right, since it's such a nice day, we're gonna go get gas at the airport over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop down a little bit lower and fly along the river. It's really, really cool when it's just smooth like this. I'm gonna reduce power. We're gonna go down to about 500 feet. Now we start to get into some mechanical turbulence. Any little air moving over the river, is bumped up against this hill right here. So you just get a little bit of bumps right down on the water. Got another dredge boat there. We got these power lines that run across the river here, so we just got to make sure we stay away from them. that's a lovely smell. The airport that we're going to is right up ahead of us, so I'm going to make a radio call announcing that we're coming towards the airport. Midwest National Traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, 5 miles southeast. We'll be entering on a 45 for downwind 18 Midwest National. Hey Ray, you flying?
Yeah, I'm over Holt right now.
Where are you at?
I'm flying over Holt right now.
Okay, well, we're going in to gas up.
After that, I'll meet you back there.
One of my flying buddies. He recognized me on the frequency. So the airport's right in front of us. You can see the runway kind of off over here. So we're going to turn parallel to the runway. This is the downwind leg. And we're just going to look for other traffic that might be in the pattern. They're kind of hard to see, so we gotta just look carefully. And we're going to listen on the radio. Midwest National Traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike. Downwind 18, Midwest National. So bring the power back, start slowing down, and we're going to set up a descent that'll take us right on back around to our landing. Midwest National traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, base to final 18, full stop, Midwest National. So we use our flaps here. This lever is, if you look at the wing, those flaps have dropped down.
Right.
We use that to help get the plane slowed down. We want to touch down as slowly as possible. So that helps us get slowed down. And if we do everything right, we ought to be set up for just a real nice, easy, smooth landing.
Midwest National, Sonex 115 Delta Mike, easily northwest, crossing midfield and our left downwind for 18, West National.
This transition from flying to driving is always a little bit interesting because, when the tail is on the ground, that little tail wheel, we can steer that tail wheel. But when it's up in the air, all we have is the rudder to keep us going straight. So there's a bit of a transition where you got to kind of work everything out. But that worked out pretty good, so.
Midwest National, 15 Delta Mike, 2 to the west, crossing midfield and our left downwind for 18, Midwest National.
Those two planes on the end over there, those warbirds, they were both at the fly-in yesterday.
That's those are
Dine on Skyview.
So it looks like Ray just pulled onto the runway. See him taking off here in a second.
Fly out of your airport too.
He's based out of this airport. Yeah. This is a nice airport. Nice big runway, cheap gas, lots of activity. So we got to reprogram the fuel computer. We added gas. We added 9 gallons, and that takes us to full, so that's exactly what it said we needed. Okay, so we just run through our checklist again. So our seat belts, canopy, trim, switches are all set, radio is programmed, altimeter is set, fuel is set, engine looks in the green, fuel shutoff is on, we're not going to do another run-up, and our controls are good. And it looks like the approach is clear. I don't see anybody coming in. And there's nobody on the runway, so I think we're ready to go. Midwest National Traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, departing 18 Midwest National. Alright, stick back, fix your rich, track and center line, throttle coming up.
Midwest National Traffic Cessna 7527 X-ray taking off runway 18, departure to the south, Midwest National.
Midwest National Traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, departing the pattern to the south, Midwest National.
Midwest National, Cherokee 6819 of Juliet, 15 miles north, straight in 18, Midwest National. Lexington traffic, Cessna 3171 Echo, 5 miles to the east at 2,500, headed directly west, Lexington. Lexington traffic, Cessna 3171 Echo.
I think what we'll do is Smithville Lake is up ahead over there. You can kind of see it on the horizon. We'll go up and we'll do a little bit of, we'll kind of go around Smithville a little bit, take a quick look, and I think then we'll come on back and put the plane away.
Must be where the football players live.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little communities like that. You'll see a big old house, you know, on its own, or a bunch of houses like that. It always amazes me. Everywhere you go, you could be out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a monster house out there. It's like, who wants to live way out in the middle of nowhere? There's nothing out here. Yeah, you got some land, you got a big old house, but what do you just watch TV all day? There's nothing to do over here. That's why I kind of like the suburbs. You know, you got to be close enough to do what you want. Not right on top of everybody, though. night out on the lake right now. When we flew back, we came back over the top of Smithville, and it was popping. There's all kinds of people out here. It was as busy as I ever seen it. But that was in the middle of the afternoon, you know, it's pretty early still. All these little coves had clusters of boats all rafted up and big parties going on. I always feel a little nosy when I'm like looking down. I'm like, oh, what's going on down there?
What's that?
Just looking down at boats, I always feel a little nosy looking at them. Like peeking in their backyard, trying to figure out what they're up to. That's alright though. That's half the fun, is just looking to see what's happening.
45 left downwind, or, yeah, left downwind, runway 26. Thanks.
Blocker Village, Cherokee 43 Juliet, taking off to the, or going south.
Miami County traffic, Western 90942 Charlie is 5 to the north, landing runway 21, Miami County.
Driving Mike Alpha 45 left downwind, runway 35 full stop range.
Brewsterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike is on an upwind for 18.
Cameron traffic, Skyline 1 Charlie Lima, 10 miles to the south, entering left downwind 17, Cameron.
Brewsterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, turning crosswind 18. Okay, just landed on the runway there, so he's still rolling out. We'll just have to keep an eye on him, make sure he's clear before we try to land. I think you might be going to take off the other direction, which is a bit unusual. Brewsterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, downwind 18, Brewsterville.
Brewsterville traffic, Sky 521, back taxi, runway 18, we'll pull off the east side toward the landing
Thanks, appreciate that.
So he said he was going to pull off the side and let us land, so. That's awfully generous of him. Roosterville traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, base to final 18, Roosterville.